It's time for Teen Beach Movie reviews. Starting with Teen Beach Movie. There's only two genders, bikers and surfers. There's a severe lack of movies where you throw something out of frame and a cat meows, so I was very pleased with this. A fun time for the whole family. My surfer daughter said she wishes she lived in that world instead of with me. Thanks, Ross Lynch. Thanks for driving an irreparable wedge between me and my daughter. Honestly, this film slaps. I am, however, confused by Ross Lynch always looking like he needs to sneeze, even in close-ups, in dramatically important scenes. Iconic, though. Brady is the most relatable character in the world, because if I was sucked into one of my favorite musicals, I too would implement myself into every musical number, befriend everybody, try not to fall in love with one of the romantic leads, and never want to go back home. Wish I could zap into my favorite outdated films and make them more woke. Is Wet Side Story on Letterboxd? I want to put it in my top 4. If I could have dinner with any celebrity, dead or alive, I'd choose Shakespeare, just so I could tell him how Romeo and Juliet inspired and was adapted into West Side Story, which went on to inspire the fictional movie of Wet Side Story within the Teen Beach Movie universe, and therefore the franchise as a whole. I'd then thank him for the small part he played in making this. Why did the two bad guys look like Dr. Eggman and Waluigi?
I mean, beaches are meant to be walked on. That's why they're called beaches.
This movie's plot should only be viewed as a shared hallucination of Mac and Brady as they nearly drown to death. Life was so much simpler when I was 12 and all I cared about was learning the Cruisin' for a Bruisin' dance. If I'm ever in a coma and Cruisin' for a Bruisin' comes on, I will instantly be revived and rejuvenated. The scene where Mac and Tanner are surfing is so funny, they're just standing and the waves are edited behind them. Tanner has the same amount of brain cells as every boy in my high school combined.
Are you serious?
No, I'm Tanner.
Every man in this movie is a himbo. Okay, look at this poster. Really look at it. Ignoring the fact that holding Maya and Ross up on a surfboard is nearly impossible, and even if it was, it would be ridiculously unstable. Anyway, just look at Chi-Chi. She is barely doing anything. She's just got her hand limp, looking like she's putting in work, but she really isn't. And back to the point about this whole surfboard being unstable. Think about it. You know Ross's heavy-ass feet aren't being supported by that lazy-ass excuse for support. Everyone else is really doing the most to make this unsavory situation work. Like, Chi-Chi, I know you got beef with everyone, but pull your weight. Pull your freaking weight. This would have been better if Layla fell into Mac's arms and Brady fell into Tanner's arms, so it was unnecessarily gay. Make Mac, Brady, Tanner, and Layla polyamorous, you cowards. I thought yous was a lesbian, but now yous is dating this clearly homosexual soifa? 3 stars because subjectively I know it's just another Disney film and not that remarkable. But tonight, I decided to smoke weed, and as a consequence, my brain perceived this entire film as the most horrifying, existential, dread-inducing psychological horror film to date. Is this filmverse a dangerous world, or is the thing that inhabits it dangerous? On the one hand, it could be the world that is dangerous because it sucks people in and defiles them until they have no recollection of their authentic selves and thus become one of the world's zombies. Or is there something that inhabits that world, one original mind or urge that recruited more minds to expand its consciousness, therefore better allowing it to prey and consume on anything that it considers a foreign body? Is this a metaphor for how the film industry eats more and more actors and typecasts original, fleshed-out, real people with their own thoughts and feelings until they become slaves to habit and forget who they are, and are yet still inwardly aware that they're being typecast? Is it a metaphor for how we as humans will never be truly original? One story bleeding out into another story, into another, into another. Aren't we all just torn apart, recycled, remodeled pieces of someone else and someone else's life story, our entire lives only gaining the privilege of being the most up-to-date version? Because it's Wet Side Story, like West Side Story, like Romeo and Juliet, etc. Or is it the story of how an outwardly innocent-looking monster takes on the most fashionable, up-to-date, believable characteristics, but can't ever truly hide what it is underneath? Watching this as a psychological horror actively terrified me. A lot of the actors move so flawlessly, have perfect faces, thinking of Barbie and Ken dolls here, and don't quite look alive or present in the eyes. In some scenes, the characters look like they're being held at gunpoint, or appear to have a predatory, "I'm going to eat you" look. Or they also look to be in a state of complete disassociation. And then the way the film ends with another musical number, suggesting that they've been eaten too and they're no longer alive, just their hollow bodies are being used. Or that they're now stuck there, completely aware of the fact that they are now trapped and condemned to the same tormented fate, yet powerless to do anything about it. Horrifying. Teen Beach 2. Mandela Effect. Teen Beach Movie 2 is actually called Teen Beach 2. Work that out. They teened, they beached, they died. This came out on the exact day that same-sex marriage was legalized in the USA, and I don't know what to do with that information. Brady loves the original Wet Side Story, but hates Layla, Queen of the Beach, which is just Wet Side Story but centered around the female protagonist. Brady hates women. Brady, I just can't relate to female protagonist's last name. I love the part where Ross Lynch is on a fake computer trying to fill out a fake college application, and he turns off the computer by pressing the spacebar 2 times. Hasta lasagna is a line in this movie. Anyway, when Tanner walks down the school corridor in slow-mo, also when Tanner pretends to be an inflatable man, and when Tanner rides in on a Segway and points intensely. I want whatever they're feeding Tanner to keep him that happy. All of Layla's outfits were so good, and then they stuck Mac with the ugliest clothes they could find in the Disney wardrobe. Here's the thing, if Tanner and Layla are from Wet Side Story and are in the real world, who is it to say that Brady and Mackenzie aren't stuck in Teen Beach 2? They have cliché plot lines and musical numbers, not something the real world actually has sometimes. I'm most likely not the first person to think about this, but it had to be said. Horrifying implications of the Teen Beach universe. The power of love is, quite literally, a renewable energy source. One movie's existence can drastically alter the course of events in a particular timeline. Any given movie's characters are constantly performing the movie over and over again, live, whenever it is viewed. When it is not actively being viewed, said characters, who are sentient by the way, simply exist, just being in their downtime. Moreover, characters from said movie can escape their respective movies if they simply move outside the bounds of their movie. As we learned in the first film in the Teen Beach franchise, Teen Beach Movie, non-movie characters can also enter movies by exiting the bounds of the real world if they are close enough to where a movie takes place. Without aforementioned characters performing said movies live, like some kind of purgatory, they just stop existing. The movie erases itself. Also, if the movie's cast is not 100% present within the film, the movie will also erase itself, causing irrevocable changes to the movie, or even transforming it into a different movie entirely. Based on these observations, I've concluded that I will be taking a trip to Forks, Washington in a desperate attempt to insert myself into the Twilight film franchise. It's been real, y'all. This movie has severe and depressing implications of losing years of one's life and everything you've ever known in a split second, having your life decay around you as you're powerless to even retain it in your memory. The ending is not sweet. It's not even bittersweet, it's terrifying. And I did not sign up for that. Almost every character in this movie has a gay moment, and I think that's extremely valid. I know Layla changed the movie, but I think sending her back to the movie world in the first place was an act of homophobia. Like, if you're going to make a gay remake of Enchanted 2007, maybe follow through next time and send Brady to replace Layla in the movie, so Layla can live in the real world with her girlfriend. Duh. Also, because this is going to bug me for the rest of my life, the ending of Teen Beach 2 means that Teen Beach Movie 1 shouldn't even exist. Third movie. Layla writes a feminist manifesto and kisses a woman. Layla becomes the first woman president. In my headcanon, they go to space, and they call it Teen Space Movie 3. Thanks to everyone who suggested I read these Teen Beach movie reviews, and thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more of these movie reviews or any other funny stuff that I read out loud for you on this channel. I wish you all a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.